So, on Tuesday, we talked about commitment and how that's an essential component to one's brilliance becoming reality. And we talked about why, some of the reasons we don't commit. But one of the biggies we don't commit, rather than the consequence or getting something better, is fundamentally we don't want what we think we want. And this is really important here, guys. And the word think is the really important word in that statement. We think we want something. So tell me, just a question for you. Is a want something you think, or is it something you feel? Do you think your desires? Do you think, let's say, do you think cars? Do you think relationships? Do you think food? Do you think adventure? No. No, you don't. You actually want it. You feel it. Want is a sensation. It's in the body. And this is one of the big challenges we have, especially coming out of codependency and knowing what we want, is we have to tune into the reality that we are analyzing what we think we should want rather than listening to what we want, to what is coming into our awareness, what we are sensitive to, what brings us alive. And this is why we don't know what we want, and this is why we don't commit to it. Because we aren't sure that we really want it. We don't feel it. We like how it feels to a certain extent, maybe, because we're thinking about it, but it's not really capturing us. It's not bringing us alive. It's not making the risk worth it. It's instead kind of satiating something. It's like, well, it's fun to daydream about this thing and go this direction or that direction with it. But it's not what we really want. And that's because we're analyzing this question of what do I want, rather than listening and leaning into what really matters to us emotionally. I call that value. So there's two types of value, well, two, not four, but two types of value we deal with. Well, technically there's three types of value if we put it into the narcissistic context, that we need to understand what's going on here. So value type number one is called transactional value. This means you want to work with me, I charge X amount of dollars, you give me the dollars, I give you the work. That's a transactional value. The second value is beingness, and that means intrinsic right to exist and what that experience is for that person. Okay, so that's value number two, and that can be experienced as a number of different kinds of sensations, for instance. Which brings us to value number three, and that is an energy priority or principle that we want to embody, be, do, and have. Okay? When we talk about wants, we're talking about value number three. We're not talking about transactional value. We're not talking about intrinsic worth. We're talking about what do I want to experience. And since we live in a material reality, right? And things are tangible and we touch them and things like that. We tend to attach value, this idea of want, to a form. And then we go out and we chase the form. I'm a big fan of cars. I like to chase cars. Mercedes or Chevelles or Subarus, whatever. We do it with people. I want this person to love me. It's one of the big codependent fantasies, is getting that person to love me. I want them to give me a particular experience, is what we're really saying. Okay? So when it comes to this idea of want, we are confusing form with essence, or that third value of experience, of sensation. And this is why we don't commit, because we don't know what we want to feel. And then when we know what we want to feel, we know what we want to experience, that's when it comes alive for us, because we're really getting congruent with ourselves. That's where the magic happens. That's why you can make a solid, committed decision to a particular outcome, and poof, there it is. You didn't even have to do a whole lot. It just is there. Whereas other things you have to fight and fight and fight and fight for because internally you're not really aligned with it. Or you might really want the thing you want, but then you have all these beliefs that counteract it and create all this chaos around it. Then you can't succeed. You get difficulty, you get frustration, you get lost. Because we're not congruent with what we genuinely feel we want. And that's why we have problems with commitment. We've either burned out on commitment because we've been choosing things that aren't really what we want. We've burned out on commitment because we've made it too darn difficult on ourselves because we've had opposing beliefs and contradictions within ourselves that make it difficult. But generally, we're not choosing from that third form of value, which is the experience we want to have. This is what we've got to change in our lives if we're going to start having things we want and we're willing to invest the commitment to receive them. That's the big key here. So, if you're struggling with commitment, you need to look at what you want. And does it align with what you want to experience? What do you really want to feel? Most people want to feel something in the realm of joy, peace, or love. It's generally the dominant thing. Some people are really into excitement, so that's a category. But generally, it's those three things. Now, are you embodying that energy? Do you know how to choose it? Do you know how to be it? Do you know how to do and have it? If you don't, then you're not going to be able to actually receive it. Instead, you're going to go out and try to control it and try to force it. You're going to try to choose things that you hope will make you feel that way rather than choose things that already do feel that way. It's kind of the brilliance component here is when we make a solid choice based on an energetic priority, such as joy, then we go out into the world and we start to receive things and we see how it lines up with joy. We see how it lines up with it. And if it doesn't, we discard it. We let it go. And we open up to receiving the next thing. Even if it shows up with joy, we are like, wow, this showed up with joy. Now, what would I like now? What else is possible now? How does it get even better than this? And that leads us into this refining step where we start to amplify what we're receiving and receiving more of it in a cleaner, faster, and more pleasurable way for yourself. That's why in the Brilliance Mastermind, I teach you how to choose, how to receive, and how to refine, so that it just becomes a simple process of like, wow, I desire to have this kind of experience. I open up to receiving it, and then I refine what I receive according to what I want to experience. This makes commitment safe. This makes commitment fun, and it makes it easy to choose because you're not looking for a specific form. You're not looking for a specific person or circumstance. You're willing to choose a priority that's easy to receive. Because if you want to receive joy, you could receive that from a million different directions. But if you're trying to find joy with this particular person or this particular job or this particular purpose or this particular item, you've narrowed down your access to your brilliance to like two things. No wonder you're miserable. You're not accessing your abundance. You're trying to control it. So that's kind of the magic here with the Brilliance Mastermind is I teach you how to hone in on the value you really want to experience and then how to teach you how to receive it. Because it'll show up. Once you get congruent with that value, things that are congruent with that value show up in your reality. Boom. Life gets a lot simpler. You get more inspiration, more creativity, more happiness, more energy. It becomes a very different reality. So yeah, we don't commit because we don't want what we think we want. And the reason why we don't want it is because we're thinking about what we want. We're not listening to what we want. We don't know the energetic priority or value that really matters to us. So if you're struggling with this, then you need to determine what energetic value you want to experience, such as joy, love, peace, calm, abundance, wealth, luxury. It could be all those things. But once you know what that priority is, that energetic priority, your job is to start honing into it and receiving it. Start practicing the embodiment of it. Now, if you struggle with this is what the Brilliance Mastermind is all about. I teach you how to do this with some very simple steps. Very, very easy to implement, along with guided meditations that make it even easier to practice being in the energy you choose to be a part of. So, if you're looking to get more of what you want in your life, I invite you to apply at the link above if you're on Facebook, link below if you're on YouTube, and jump in. Because right now we got 22 seats left, so we still have a fair amount of seats available, so you want to jump in on it while you can. It's a 12-month long mastermind, so we go through this for a while so you get a real gritty practice with it. Otherwise, guys, tune into what you want to feel. What's your energetic priority? Choose it, embody it. You'll be able to receive it and then refine it so you can get more of what you want in your life. So explore that. See where you're sabotaging your life by not committing, and look into that commitment a little deeper to see why you're not committing. Because I'll bet you it's because you don't want what you think you want. Let me know what you got out of today's training. I appreciate you guys. Remember that you're brilliant, that you're worth knowing and loving and keeping. And I will see you guys in next week's trainings. Okay, you guys have a great day.